All right, everyone, your favorite neoliberal antagonist is, once again, she's weighing in on political issues despite coming out not many days ago and saying, well, yeah, I'm quitting public politics. I want to live a private life now. But she can't stay away from these issues and she keeps making mistakes. Hydrogen Hillary comes out. Our favorite politician, or would-be politician now at this point. Oh, Donald Trump gives support, rhetorical support, and comfort to the Ku Klux Klan. Now that's really, really funny. Because wasn't Hillary Clinton's mentor a former Klansman and still had like total racialist beliefs when they met and began talking? Oh, well, there's a little bit of hypocrisy, but you see, she's got a D after her name. I've said this before, I'm going to maintain this to my grave. If Donald Trump had a D after his name, if he had run as a Democrat, ain't none of these people would be calling him a racist. Not one of them. No, they'd be looking back at the awards he got for helping like inner city black neighborhoods and they'd be saying, oh, a racist, what are you talking about? He can't possibly be because he's helping minorities and employing minorities and stuff. Now, I remember fondly during the election, this was a funny one. You may remember this. When they were criticizing him, they're like, oh, some of his clothes are made in Mexico. And then in the same breath, they're saying that he's xenophobic for suggesting that industry should be brought back from Mexico. So which is it? Like, he's a globalist sellout or he's a xenophobe? He can't really be both in that situation. We've got all these weird paradoxical facets to political discourse that we have going on right now. And all of them are hypocritical. And none of them make too much sense. But Hillary Clinton complaining that somebody else gives support to the KKK when there's that famous picture of her kissing a former KKK member. What are you smoking? What are you talking about there? What sense does that possibly in a million years make? And she's not doing herself any favors. Look, she's going on her apology tour. An apology basically to everyone who didn't want Trump to be president. But all she's done so far on her tour of, at first it was, hashtag resist. We've got to resist the bigot. We've got to resist authoritarianism, which is a real funny one because that's exactly what she is. At first it was more like, positive and empowering to the left. When it became clear, I think, that it didn't garner nearly as much support as she wanted. When it became clear that a lot of people, especially the youth that you need for that energy, to keep up such a movement, largely didn't like Hillary Clinton. I think she felt personally slighted. And now she's just lashing out at whoever happens to be in proximity. She's lashing out at basically everybody because she's attacked. If you didn't vote, she's attacked you. If you did vote and you voted for Trump or a third party or for her but you didn't knock on enough doors, she's attacking you too. That's basically the whole U.S. population. There weren't a whole lot of fervent Hillary Clinton fans. She wants to blame everybody else but herself for that, but she was a boring candidate. She was just boring. Pokemon Go to the polls. Deplorables. That was her claim to fame during the election. And then cast herself off as the adult in the room and pulls this crap for months and months at a time. But it's worse because it's tied in with her book tour. When it was just Hillary Clinton saying, yeah, the evil Comey, the evil Russians, Trump the bigot or something. It's like, yeah, that's pretty standard political talk, maybe a little bit more obsessive. But now, in collusion with writing and releasing her book and touring the country to release it, in connection with that, she has attacked so many different groups of people within this country that it's amazing to me that anybody even goes to her book signings. Why would you even want her signature? Look, if she wasn't doing this, she'd be known as the candidate that could have been president, could have been the first female president, came close at least in the popular vote, actually technically won there, California voting tendencies aside, or rigging aside. People are still whining about that. You win the election, your candidate wins, you're still worried about election rigging. What are you talking about? Trump won. Okay, you need to drop that issue too. Barring New Hampshire, of course, at this point. That one you can investigate at your leisure, I guess. She's going around, and all she's doing is attacking people. There's no positive message at all. In fact, the entire book, it's literally entitled, What Happened? Well, what happened is he didn't go to Wisconsin and Michigan. You skipped both fundraiser and rally alike in North Carolina. You ignored the Floridians. You ignored basically everybody and essentially tried to guilt trip people into voting for you based on, well, I'm female, so you're sexist if you don't. And she's still saying that now, that, Bernie Sanders fans to her are terrible, evil, virulent sexists. I'm not so sure that's the case. I think that Bernie Sanders' platform is so far left. Nobody could possibly have... they would be almost an inversion of sexism in the standard sense if they support Sanders. Sanders was more the women's rights candidate anyway. Hillary Clinton just talked about herself. The only woman she wants rights for is Hillary Clinton. There's your problem. Can you say there's the reason why, white females abandoned you and voted for Trump overwhelmingly? Or including the college-educated, which is something we haven't seen in a while. I believe college-educated females in general, and white females in general too, overwhelmingly voted Obama in both elections, if I remember correctly. I believe that they voted for Obama. They switched and they voted for Trump this time. It's because, just because somebody's female doesn't mean the only thing they care about is the candidate's female. That would be like saying, well, I'm male, therefore I chalk it up to Trump having, a Y chromosome. That's the only reason I voted for him. No, it was his platform. That had nothing to do with it. And if Trump had been female and Clinton had been male, it would have been no different. I still would have voted for Trump. Maybe it would have been Melania versus Bubba or something. Well, I would have voted for Melania in that case, because of the platforms involved. Hydrogen Hillary is concerned about the Ku Klux Klan, a traditionally democratic organization with only a couple thousand members anyway, that has very little in the way of actual power outside of a few groups within the Deep South, and they hold some barbecues and burn a cross once in a while. And you get like 20 people showing up. No, back in the 1920s, there were hundreds of thousands of people in the Ku Klux Klan in this country. Now it's a very small organization. Trust me, they're not flipping elections. Nobody's pandering for their votes because that would be dumb. Trump's strategy worked. Are you saying that there are over, 40, 50 million people in the Ku Klux Klan in this country? She even still stands behind her deplorable comments. She did. She came out and defended herself. No, I'm not going to take it back. She gave a half-assed apology at the time. She's like, oh, yeah, well, people took it the wrong way. I didn't mean, actually half of Trump voters. I just meant that there are some deplorable people there. Now she's doubled down. Oh, yeah, they're all bigots. They're evil, racist, sexist, xenophobic. They want border security. My God. I mean, how much more xenophobic can you get than to suggest that nations should have sovereignty? This is pure Clinton logic. It doesn't make any sense. He's supporting the Ku Klux Klan. No, he's not. No, Hillary Clinton appears to, though. She's cracking jokes about carrying hot sauce around in her pocketbook every time she goes on, some podcast that's being run by someone who happens to be black, because she thinks that's a good campaign strategy. Is that not a form of stereotyping? I didn't see Trump doing that. Other than maybe with his taco bowl there, actually. But I think he did that to be ironic. It was taken as a joke, because it was so off the wall, it didn't make sense to people. He's sitting there grinning and eating his taco bowl that he may have just thrown in the trash once the photo was taken anyway. And it was hilarious. It was meme-worthy, but Hillary Clinton never was. The only meme that ever existed of her was, hey, she's boring, she's trying to be hip, she's trying to be cool, and she fails over and over, and that's basically the joke. It's the worst possible place she could be. And now she's rambling on about the Ku Klux Klan. The Klan peaked almost 100 years ago in this country. It's not really an issue anymore. Yeah, if somebody's dressed up in a Klan robe and tries to lynch somebody, yeah, that's an issue, but it doesn't mean that the organization's growing or powerful. No, it's never been weaker since inception than it is currently. And the same is true of, some of these skinhead groups and other movements. The only one that's growing is the identitarian movements, and by and large, they're not the same thing. They're simply not the same as yesterday's skinheads. Yesterday's skinheads are basically, oh, we're going to stockpile for the race war. The identitarians aren't really doing that. They're just having podcasts. There's a difference between these two. There's a measurable differentiation between these groups, And Hillary Clinton is not the one to be in any position to complain about any of them. She's the one whining and dining these people. It's like when Bubba Bill, I think when he was running for governor and they had sort of racially tinged campaign materials, then they weren't official. That part was a myth back then. I think it was in the 80s, like when he was running at the state level. But they never spoke out against it. They never were pressured to. And the Clintons showed their true colors at the time. Clinton calls, I guess, all of the minorities around her help and treats them badly. I'm not surprised. Like when she went on her rant there years ago about having prisoners working in the governor's mansion. And it was all fairly self-explanatory what she meant. And if she had an R after her name, if she were a Republican, people would be calling it a dog whistle and condemning her as a virulent bigot. But because she's a Democrat and happens to be Hillary Clinton, they totally ignore it. Meanwhile, they'll jump down Trump's throat for suggesting building a wall, even though that has nothing to do with race or bigotry whatsoever. It has to do with, hey, nations often attempt to defend their borders because they want to maintain the rule of law. And so therein lies the difference. No, the bigot is Hillary Clinton. She's so bigoted that she thinks that women are single-issue voters. Like she should have 100% of the entire female vote because she comes out on stage and says, hey, the glass ceiling's got some cracks in it. Yeah, that's a real great campaign strategy, Hydrogen Hillary. It worked so well. That's your fault. You're the one who concocted it in your mind that that was a winning strategy, and you seem so smug. You and Obama and everyone else, you're like, oh, yeah, Donald Trump will never be president. Pelosi comes out, says the same thing. Hillary Clinton, she struts around constantly, acting as though she can simply be dismissive of her opponent and doesn't have to campaign because she thinks he's a lunatic. Well, that's your problem. You know, if you really are worried that Trump is a fascist, you have nobody to blame but Hillary Clinton for being too inept to stop him from taking office. Now, of course, I'm much more optimistic than that, but don't get angry at him, get angry at Hillary Clinton. She was the candidate. She ignored people who suggested that she go to more rallies in more competitive states. She ignored them. And then she reaped what she sowed. She sowed, hey, I don't care about America. You should vote for me or you're a sexist. And so what did she reap? Oh, you lose. You're a loser. And I thought it was a great time, and I can't wait until 2020. Even though Clinton's already confirmed she will indeed not be running at that time. Great news for the Democratic Party, because she'd probably backstab her way to the top again and lose again. That would be pretty funny, too. I almost wish that she would change her mind. That's about all. Peace out.